And if you do any studies on types of torture, of course, we all have what's called personal space. And, to have somebody very close to you and following you and watching you every second is basically what their job is to do. And whether you're up to we're talking about, you're just like today I went to the post office and I had a lady that kept trying to see what I was sending in the mail.
But listen, Patti, I want to say something though. There is always some idiots out there that doesn't mind the business, okay? I mean, the point is, I'm sure there is, of course, different cases, but also in our life, I want to be sure and people understand there is also situation. There could be also, let's say, coincidences. But after the third, fourth time, the coincidence become a statistic. That's a fact. So once in a while, yeah, you may have also a real idiot out there that was trying to get too close to you, or try to maybe follow you just because, I don't know. But the point is, after the third, fourth times, there is no more coincidence. So I'm open here, guys. I'm not saying everybody, just because you have the sensation somebody's following you, means that you're targeted. That's not the case. There are cases and cases, okay? Be sure, be clear. Go ahead.
Well, basically, it's the pattern of it. Mm-hmm. Now, this might help a little bit better. When the gang stalking started, at first it was very young guys, and I was on the internet. So my older son said, Mom, get off the internet. Whatever site you're on, you're drawing a bunch of, perverts. And I said, no, these are young, good-looking guys, and they're just trailing around everywhere. And he said, Mom, are you sure? I said, no, I'm telling you. And they would look at me to let me know that they were looking at me. See, part of it is not just like people driving by. They do things to make sure you recognize them. And they'll do the same thing so that you know something's going on. You don't know what's going on at first, but you know something's going on. Well, at that point, I was kind of amused by it, because when you're older, there's, it was like, oh, there's all kind of young guys, waving at me, looking at me. And I tried to tell my friends, and they said, nah. And we went out one night, and they were like lined up. I said, what's going on? So anyway, then next time when there was hooded young girls, they had hoods on. Mm-hmm. That went on for about a month. Every time someone went by, and you could tell it was a young girl, they had a hood on, a hoodie. Mm. And you couldn't see their faces real well, but when you got up close, you knew it was a girl. I thought, no, why? Then it was older people. I mean, we're talking very senior, and they all had angry looks on their faces. So it went through patterns where they were doing this different stuff to let me know that they were always around.
This is the psychological part, because we're talking about two different aspects: a physical pain and also a psychological, let's say, sense of harassment. That I don't know exactly what is their final goal. Maybe to study how do you react or behave, or if you lose your mind. Well, I don't know. Why you think they're doing this? What is their goal? To have all these resources to make you look like you're stalked?
Well, let me tell you, when you're in these experiments, okay, isolation is extremely important. Think of a lab rat, okay? Mm-hmm. Everybody uses the word lab rat, but we really don't tear it down in our mind.
Yeah.
They have made this remote experimentation, or what the CIA and those guys called field work, whenever they closed the shop so that people couldn't. They went to the field work. And basically, what's happening is they are trying to discredit you. One of the first things they do is isolate and discredit, and also they make you poor. And how can they conduct experiments if people are watching and seeing all the oddball things that are going on that are not normal? How can, when it first started out, I was successful, relatively successful. I wasn't real wealthy, but I just went out and got all kind of cameras. And just to kind of give you a little background, one of the first things that happened to me was the break-ins. And all targeted individuals, even though we never met each other, all have similar similar situations. I mean, they're almost identical, but we don't even know each other. And they're breaking in, vandalism, bizarre vandalism. I would come home, and keep in mind I'm a professional. My kids are with babysitting, and I pick them up, come home, and all my downspouts are down. All of them. Not one. It wasn't raining. It wasn't windy. And I had just been outside. So I mean, you call the police, you say, and they say, who would come out and tear your downspouts down? I said, I don't know.
Let me sum it up 1 second what's going on here, because I try always to get all this in a simple way to people we can understand, because I'm trying to understand too. The idea is there is a part of the population, at least a select group of people, that maybe we don't know exactly why yet. Maybe you can give us more details why, but they anyway represent some sort of a profile. So far, normally we know that there are people that they are kind of single, could be women, of course they're also men, but the typical target could be, let's say, a person who has not much opportunity to defend himself or herself. Normally a single woman is a good target. That's the idea. And there are some experimentations, and people may laugh at me, that's fine. But when you start to look, for example, how the US government has been experimenting on civilians, especially with the mind control, MK Ultra, this is just in the 70s, 60s, and there are declassified documents and Senate and a congressional investigation, and they were told to shut it down. That's not a conspiracy, guys. So before you start laugh, let's start to look at the past and the records, what's going on and what's been going on before. So right now we're talking with Patti, that she's a target individual, and the point is, what happens in your life, like you said, like a lab rat. They start to harass you, gang stalking you, and you go into this sort of almost going crazy, because pretty much you start to see things that you don't want to believe at the beginning. Everybody's looking at me, everybody's following me, and then you realize that they have a plan and they're coordinated by other people. And the reason why we think, because maybe they want to study how you react to such behavior, to such, let's say, type of aggression, because indirectly it's an aggression too. Then, as you said, they start to violate your space. That means people start to breaking in their homes. Am I right so far in the summarization of this story so far? I want to just be sure I got it down right.
If I can just give you a quick preview, when they break in,
yes,
they are. We thought, most of us thought we were being poisoned, but they were actually putting this nano and various technologies in our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in mind, while we're going through this, they have sensors. They're reading our emotions. They're reading our reactions.
Mm-hmm.
This is a test. This is an experiment. And it's all done remotely. So whenever I was getting sick, I went to the doctor, did all the tests, and it wasn't any common poison. But when these are heavy metals, they're encased in plastics. It's not healthy stuff to ingest, and they're very, very tiny. So people say, well, how could this happen? Well, all you have to do is look up smart dust or nanotechnology. I mean, they've been studying this. When you're in a test subject, you're getting the stuff way before it's publicized.